So, in this episode, y'all, we are going to really dig into uncovering whether your team and your customer trusts you. Because we know if there isn't trust, your business suffers so much. We've been going through Start With Why, and it talks about building that loyalty and finding your true customer, and that happens when not only your team members trust you, but your customers trust you. So stay tuned for really how to build trust within your business. Leaders have got to build trust and loyalty.
Yeah, absolutely.
People will come together and form friendships and relationships with people who align with them on their values or their vision and things like that. People will connect different things. How do you begin this emergence of trust?
I think first, just being your authentic self.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the things that I love that he painted in this was is truly understanding that when employees are happy and they feel like they can trust their leaders, then they take care of their customers.
You know, it's funny because originally in Be Chic, when I was employing team members on, I came from a corporate background, so I felt that I needed to be a certain way. I needed to treat them a certain way because that's how I was taught as an employee of a corporation. However, because I already knew what my why was, and that it really came down to family, right? Family, legacy, and impact is mine. It was really important that they were treated as family and that work-life balance was achieved, right? And so throughout the entire company, just making sure that they were treated like family and they understood that I'm here to make sure that their family is taken care of. It extended down into the customer and how the customer is treated, how we've replied back to them, customer service issues, how and not even that it needed to be taught. That was like reflecting back about the journey.
DNA.
Well, because I empowered them with my why being family. I treated them as family. They understood that the customer, I wanted that to extend down to the customer without me having to give direction on how to handle a customer service issue.
That makes sense. You empowered them and they trusted that whatever decision they made, you would back them up.
Well, and the thing is, the empowerment wasn't even direct. It was indirectly because of the way I treated them. It trickled down automatically that they knew that I wanted the customer treated this way, that without even me having to tell them how to respond to a customer, they already knew how I would respond to that customer. And so it's just funny that when you have your why and it's so embedded in what your company,
everything falls into place.
Everything falls into place, but even your leadership style and the way they resonate and become leaders themselves.
You know, we talked about really as business owners or leaders, how do you begin to build trust? Trust from your team, trust from your customers. And I think just looking at what Southwest was already known for and what Continental went through, as a customer, I wouldn't have trusted Continental at first. I wouldn't want to be treated rude. I wouldn't want my flights delayed. You know, to this day, there are other airlines that are going through that right now, and I just choose not to book with them. So I want something where I have fun on the flight and I can get on and off quickly and get to where I need to. And that I feel valued as a customer.
Valued and no excuses. So if something's happening, don't lie. Right? It's almost like daring greatly, right? Be vulnerable and say what actually happened and be okay with the repercussions that you might have to compensate someone because you made a mistake on your end. And I think some of these airlines nowadays is that they're having technical issues with their airplanes or whatever, and they're blaming it on weather. Don't give me that. You're having issues that's internal and you don't want to compensate me for having issues.
I think as an employee, how does that feel when you know your company's lying about something
and they have to be responsible to deliver the message.
Right. That doesn't feel good. So that's not building trust.
It's not. And what ends, actually, it just perpetuates the issue because the employee is going to continue lying for the people sitting on their throne, right? And that is a disease that spreads to all the other ones who are trying to do honest work. Right?
Absolutely. So then how do you go about finding the right individual so that you can have that trust from your team and then therefore better serve your customers? I always knew that, when you're interviewing candidates for your company, it is not only a chance for you to see if they are the right fit for your business,
Yeah.
but it is also an honest time for them to see if your business is the right fit for them. So in an
I
interview
like how you bring that
process,
up.
if you are not upfront and honest and really raw about what it is that you need from them and what it is going to be like to work there, then you're in for some friction
Yeah.
down the line.
I remember the first person I was hiring on, they would come to me, they're asking me, what do you want? And I'm like, I need everything. Like, I'm a growing business. I don't know exactly what it is I need because I was very, very immature in the business side stuff. And I just remember that person coming to me and saying, okay, well, what do you think you need? And I'm like, well, currently, this is what I'm going under. I don't know how many hours I can give you. I'm not even sure I can continue to pay you this much for this period of time, but this is what we're going through. And they said yes. And that's the part I was like,
Mhm,
I wouldn't have said yes,
mhm.
but I guess I saw something in the company and they just said,
Well, you gave them a chance to know upfront and honest. And
and that's what I say about being vulnerable and being authentic.
absolutely, big companies often, too often, try to say, we'll pay you a lot, but we need this creativity and we need this dedication from you. And money doesn't buy that.
No.
That's where we talk about building
Yeah.
trust. And if you don't have that trust as a business owner, you don't need to paint this. I love what you said. You were honest with your, applicant, and that I don't know how long I'll be able to pay you this, but they said yes because they were bought into what your goal was and your vision.
I've
And
used that multiple times. Hiring an assistant was the same thing. We're a growing business at the time. I'm going to ask this and this and this and this because you could have all the roles written out and you can feel very organized and everything. But the reality is if you're a small business, even if you're a large business, roles and responsibilities change. They evolve,
Mhm.
right? Because if you want to stay a viable business, you have to evolve. Well, guess what? Roles and responsibilities evolve with it. And being upfront and honest with this person saying, we're at this size, we will have to adjust and pivot where needed. And this is what we're looking for. Are you okay with that? And this person going and saying, okay, and
Mhm.
okay, great, you're okay with that. Are you
Yep.
okay with it at this wage? Let me think about it. Think about it.
Think
Get
about
back
it.
to me.
Yep.
And they still said yes.
See?
And it just works. It just works. Being honest. I mean, who would have thunk?
Who would have thunk? But you know what? This is where, and I know we get into this in our boot camp with Sage Consultants and the whole generational thing.
Yeah.
You know, this incoming generation of not only millennials, but you get your Gen Zers and now your Gen Alphas, they are thinking so differently
Yeah.
in their method and their approach that if we, as either boomers or Gen Xers, aren't embracing this, like,
Oh, yeah.
you got to go back to what is your why.
Yeah.
And your why cannot be about your own personal success. I mean, my why is I like to see others succeed and grow, and flourish. If that's what we want to do, then that means we need to evolve our leadership style, or we need to
Yeah.
evolve our business to better cater to how the world is changing. And I think that speaks a lot. He gives examples of how Apple has evolved and those who haven't have kind of lost relevance. Southwest has
Yeah.
evolved. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But I think it can be personal.
It it can be.
Not for
Yes.
not selfish.
Not there you go. There,
Yeah.
thank you. Yes, it can be
It can be
personal,
personal, but
but
not
not selfish.
selfish.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Simon paints an even bigger picture of who our customers are.
Yeah.
And you've got those innovators who are
Ah,
going to jump on, if they trust you, they're going to jump on anything new that's coming out, even if
yeah.
the kinks haven't worked out, or even if that means they're paying more.
Yeah.
Love that. And then he talks about the early adapters, right? They'll jump on too.
Not
And they're
as
going to,
early as the
no,
innovators.
but they're going to go based on their gut. And
Yeah.
this is again why, starting with
Yep.
why, then that calls to your customer.
In you some way you have connected with their limbic brain because you've connected with their gut. They're emotionally are attached to your brand, your company, your why.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. But the tipping point happens when you have about 18. I do like that Simon likes his statistics when you have about 18% of the market share.
Yeah.
So that's where you have to then bring in what's considered the early majority. The other two portions are late majority and laggards.
Yep.
But in order to really move to your tipping point is you have to get the buy-in of the early majority as
Yep.
well. And a lot of those people in the early majority bracket will not try it until others have tried it. So, Tipping Point talked a lot about having the having something sticky, but then, the three individuals that really helped
Yes.
propel it. So
They're your connectors, right?
yes. So maybe your innovators and your early adapters somewhere within there are influencers
Yep.
and things like that who are saying, yes, I like this,
Yeah, because
or I
even
trust it, I use
if
it.
you think about it, you have
Mhm.
to buy in someone to believe in your product enough that they're willing to talk about it,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So your influencers, right?
Yep. If you have a business, your goal should not be to necessarily just sell to everybody.
Yeah, no. Well,
No. You Depending on what you offer, you want everybody to feel it depends on what you offer.
okay, so you're not wanting to sell to everyone
Just anyone.
or anyone. However, I think where some especially now, everyone thinks like I got to niche down so far down the
Mm,
chain.
mm,
And yes, you do.
mhm.
However, understand that you do have to go broad to know if you're resonating with that particular person that you think
Absolutely.
you're going for.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times when we think we know the psychology of selling a particular product service, we really don't.
No.
And you kind of have to hone it down. It's hard. It's a little bit, but at the same
This is
time,
the nuances of growing a business.
it really
You
is.
have in your thought why you're doing what you're doing and who you want to solve a
You
problem
do. Your
for.
avatar might be
Yes.
someone you think that you're targeting,
Mhm.
but the reality of it is the person you think you're targeting is not who you're targeting. It could
Not
be
every time.
completely someone
Somebody
else,
else.
and you can neglect them by focusing on this one. And I think in TiVo's case, they didn't know who exactly they were targeting. They just said, let's throw something to the wall and see what sticks.
Right.
Right. But what ended up happening is the first person that stuck to was really not the person.
Wasn't their client.
It
Their
wasn't their
core.
client. It
Yeah.
wasn't their core. And so what ended up happening is it got muddied. It got muddled in their message because then they started drawing to that one particular customer and it didn't
Didn't
work
work.
out.
Yeah. So this is where certain business owners, and I think this is why you and I are such a phenomenal pair. And I would say, as you're growing your business, be looking for your good partner, because a lot of CEOs might be the inspirer, right? They have their why, but sometimes the how, they may not necessarily be the best at the how,
Yeah.
like how to articulate it. A great example with Dr. Martin Luther King. I mean, Dr. King rallied a nation on
Yeah.
his why.
Yeah.
But what very few remember is his dear friend Abernathy stood up after and say, okay, here's what we're going to do tomorrow, guys, and articulates
Yes. Okay. Now I remember.
the
Yeah.
how. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is,
Yeah, he was the so if you were talking about tipping point, like referring back to tipping
uh-huh,
point, he was the connector. He was the
yes,
one that knew who to deliver that message to in order for it to have the most effect.
absolutely.
Yeah, he was the influencer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think about, with Sage, we have our leadership archetype
Yeah.
and understanding that. But this is why it's so important to know,
Yeah.
because as you're trying to build trust and you're trying to build a company and you have this amazing vision, you have to realize, where does your strength lie and what do you need as a partner? And
Yeah.
this is, I mean, I'm totally a collaborator. I am all about bringing people and talent together. And this is my strategist right here. And with everything, she goes, I need the numbers, I need the data. Let's try this and let's try that. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. But I'm like,
Yeah.
but does it connect to our brand and our why? And it's this
It's so
dialogue
funny.
that we
Yeah.
have.
Because I'm like, it will, but we need numbers.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So when you can align on your why, you need to make sure that your how connects with
Yes.
it, and how you do it, who you bring into the business with you,
Yes.
how they treat the customer,
Yeah.
your methodology.
Most
Yes,
definitely. Yeah.
yes. When you come through and you're building your business, you're going to get a lot of people telling you hey, you should do this for your business. You should do this for your business. Somebody else can be like, you should do this for your business. And all of us as business owners, we are
Oh my
very
gosh.
doubtful, right? And so we
Yes.
take all this ideas and we try to, okay, filter through what's going to be best. But if we're not concrete on our why, if you're running a business and somebody's like, well, I run a business similar to yours and I think M&Ms are the best way for my business to be successful. Somebody else comes up to you and be like, if you don't have cookies in your business, then you are losing money.
Yeah.
Somebody else is like, you know what you need? You need rice milk. Rice milk is the answer.
Yeah.
And then celery is then, okay, you
Yes.
really need celery. So you have to think about your why. What is it that your business is really, why are you in business? Why are you doing what you do? Well, if your business is all about health and wellness,
Hmm.
then why would you bring in M&Ms and cookies?
Exactly.
Just goes back to the trust factor, because if your employees are not, if they're confused as to what you're doing, how are they going to be able then to deliver to your customer? If your customer is confused about what you're doing, like how are they going to know why to come back to you? So align on your why, hold to it, and let that be a filter for anything that you're bringing into your business. So I guess going back to our, starting this whole
Yeah.
episode, we talked about how do you get your team and your customer to trust you? Align with your why
Yeah.
and hold to it and let that
100%.
be the filter for decisions that you make. So if you feel like your business is suffering and you're just really trying to figure out what to do and you don't feel you have the right staff, go back to your why. If you don't have that and then your team doesn't echo that with you,
Yeah.
that's where probably a lot of the friction is.
100%.
Yeah.
I agree.
So, y'all, I hope you enjoyed this
Yes.
episode.
I
Holy smokes.
love it. Love it.
So, please join us on this journey. Like and subscribe. When you hit the little bell button, you'll know when this episode and the future ones come out. But please share. We want to hear your comments. Share that. But we also, if there's somebody that needs to hear this, share.
Yes,
Pass along the
please.
love, please. Cheers, y'all. See
Bye,
you next week.
guys.